Trent Williams, not there. We were all talking about Brandon Ayuk every day because he made it public that he wanted money. But apparently, Trent Williams wants more money too. And he's a much bigger deal than Brandon Ayuk. No offense to Brandon. So we're going to start with Trent Williams, who didn't even show up. He's like, I'm extremely rich. Go ahead and find me. I'm not getting off my butt. Give me some money. What do you think of what Trent Williams is doing, holding out?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that surprising that it wouldn't be surprising if he was holding in. Let me say that. If he was holding in and just saying, hey, I want to rework, much like you did with Christian McCaffrey, doesn't really have any guaranteed money left, that actually makes a lot of sense. However, holding out completely and just not showing up, that's kind of interesting. I mean, you would think that the relationship with Kyle and Trent would be on that really high level. If you remember correctly, when Trent was a free agent, he almost went to Kansas City and he called Kyle and was like, listen, I'm about to go. Can you make this happen? Here's what I'm looking for. And they did. So the fact that he's not there at all is a little bit surprising. And really, they all admitted it. It was Fred Warner, Brock Purdy. Everybody was like, listen, yeah, it's a contract thing. So it's not like he was at his kid's dance recital or a graduation or something like that, and it was excused. He genuinely is looking for a rework of his deal. It's like, man, this offseason's been full of players getting paid, wanting to get paid, and really taking a quote-unquote selfish route. Don't blame them at all. You only have one chance at this, but at the same time, it is surprising for a team that is trying to get over the hump and win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and they all admitted that they were caught off guard, which is interesting. It seems like the Niners have been caught off guard by a few things this offseason. I mean, they kind of bungled the Eric Armstead situation. Now this. What's interesting also is they saw the Brandon Ayuk situation coming. Ayuk made it very public how he felt, and the 49ers responded by drafting a wide receiver in round 1, just in case. It's like, look, man, you are not going to hold us hostage here. We are going to be okay one way or another and offer you what we feel is fair. They didn't do that at offensive tackle. They took no offensive tackles. 0. They drafted a guard. I'm feeling if they had known, which they said they didn't, that Trent Williams might hold out, they might draft an offensive tackle in round 2, as opposed to a nickelback they don't necessarily need, considering that Isaac Yiadom looked really, really good today, and Lenore can play in the slot. So it seems like they didn't plan this one through.
Yeah, but it does seem, and we've talked about this a few years ago, actually, are the 49ers proactive or reactive? And yeah, certainly if they would have known, maybe they would have gone out and gotten somebody else. But also, Trent Williams misses games every year. And when he does, they don't tend to win. You add in the fact that he is much closer to the end of his playing career than he is the beginning. It's right around the corner. So why wouldn't you be proactive and draft his replacement anyways? Worst case scenario, to me, if they had drafted a guy in the first round and redshirted him, knowing you have Trent Williams, I think that would have been a lot more acceptable than drafting a wide receiver and potentially redshirting him. Although he will get snaps, but not many, I would assume.
Niners been talking a lot about leverage this offseason, or maybe not them directly, but
yeah,
people talking for them about how they have all the leverage over Brandon Ayuk. Well, they didn't have any leverage over Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey made it known that he wanted an extension and got that in like 2 weeks because I guess the Niners felt, they're nothing without Christian. Well, Trent, smart guy, great player, better player than Christian McCaffrey. Older, 36 years old, but I mean, arguably the most important player on the team. They're 3-6 without him. So he looks at what they did, at what McCaffrey did, how the Niners responded. And I'm sure he's thinking, that's all it takes to get an extension around here is just say you want one and be great. Well, I'm great and I want one. Yeah. So give me the freaking extension. And I wonder if what can the Niners do? Like, can they say, no, you're 36, or do they have to say, well, what do you want?
Yeah. I mean, they're probably going to have to open up the checkbook. And here's the thing. It's good in the short term, much like the CMC deal was, where they're going to save some money. But in 2 years, let's say he retires in 2 years, and then they move on from CMC in 2 years, that's 2 players that they're going to owe some money to not even be on the books anymore. And it's like, well, yeah, the salary cap's going up, But every time you do this, you continue to put yourself in a situation where you're going to be paying players that are no longer here. At some point, that catches up to you. I don't know. I don't like the strategy, but what else are you going to do? If you want to win a Super Bowl, you need CMC and you need Trent Williams. You kind of got to just pay him.
Yeah, it's funny. The Niners been talking again about leverage. Like, they don't have to pay Brandon Ayuk, but they're in the situation where they're keeping Brandon, I get kind of against his will, because they have to make this one last run at the Super Bowl while they have everyone here. And it seems like all the best players on the team are leveraging the Niners about that. Like, oh, you really want to prove that you're a Super Bowl champion? Like, okay, then give me an extension. You really want to keep this team together one more year? Then pay me. I think that maybe the front office, maybe the coaching staff kind of misread this team. Like, oh, this is a really tight group that understands how close they are to the Super Bowl and will continue to sacrifice so they can all become champions. And now it's kind of like, no, pay us. This is a business. And we're done with that stage of our career. We all did that. And now it's time for all of us to get paid. And not just, it's funny, like, it was like Ayuk's turn to get paid. It was like, hey, sorry, big guy, my turn. Sorry, Brandon. Trent Williams. I'm better than you. I'm going to get that extension first. And it's just like 4 or 5 players have done that to Brandon. Like, hey, man, we really like you, buddy, but I come first.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way it's been played. But, when it comes to negotiations, it really is every man for themselves. And Trent Williams, knowing that he's going to miss time, knowing he's 36, almost 37, however old, having no guaranteed money. I mean, that's a scary place to be. And it is a business. Imagine he stepped foot on the field today and ruptured his Achilles. You think the 49ers would hesitate to get rid of him? Be like, see ya. No, they wouldn't care. So why not protect yourself? He's got to do it. I understand it. I do.
I just think it's kind of funny that the Niners drafted a wide receiver in round 1 that they didn't need because they were so concerned about Brandon Ayuk potentially holding out, even though if he held out, they'd still have some of the best weapons in the league across the board. And they didn't think through, like, well, what about if the left tackle holds out? You got nothing.
Yeah.
If he holds out, you have the worst offensive line in the league. Your running game doesn't work. Your passing game doesn't work. Like, you are screwed. It's worse to lose him than it is to lose Brock Purdy, I think.
Yeah.
And that's your quarterback, and he's really freaking good, and the backup is really not. That's how important Trent Williams is. And the Niners didn't think this through. They didn't see this coming, but they were so focused on the wide receiver position. Got to be set at wide receiver. You have Debo and Jennings.
I know.
You could have had Kingsley Sumatia. He's on the Chiefs now. I'm not saying he's a day one great player, but would have helped you.
At least it's a plan. It's a plan. And again, it would make sense. Everybody would understand if you quote unquote redshirted a player like that, knowing that Trent is essentially gone after this year or in 2 years. Maybe that player can take over at right tackle eventually next year, what have you. That makes a lot more sense. But you drafted a 24-year-old wide receiver who's not going to play a lot, barring a ton of injury, which that's just lucking. It's not lucking because your starters are going out, but that would be lucking into him playing versus you're going to redshirt him. I don't know. The whole thing just doesn't make sense, but here we are.
It's really not the way you want to start can we just talk real quick about how the Niners rolled out their team this year? Hey, we're back. We're the best team in the league. This is the year we are going to win the Super Bowl. No, Trent Williams isn't here per se. And yeah, Brandon Ayuk's here, but he's not really practicing. Fred Williams is here Fred Warner's here to talk, and he's talking about how brutal it is to start training camp and how exhausting it all is. And it's like, I don't know, man. It doesn't sound like a team that's about to have their best season.
You've got 4 players that are starters that aren't there for who knows how long. Trent Williams waiting on a contract. Ayuk waiting on a contract. Dre Greenlaw's not going to be there. I mean, he's injured, right? We knew that. Hufanga also not there, injured. Recovering from an injury, should be healthy soon, but that's 4 starters right there. Not that it's a big deal now. I mean, once you're getting pads, that's when I think things really start to matter, but that's only a few short days away. Like, they really got to get some of these things figured out.
Kyle Levy stands on dumb, says give B.A. Trent and Kyle Levy extensions too. Why not? I think Shanahan just got one last year. I think he's due for another one. It's been almost 12 months since he got an extension.
Yeah.